What's up, guys? So we have another mod going on Challenger. Uh, so with all the weight savings we've been doing, we're gonna add just a little bit of weight to this thing. So this is a kit you buy from C3V Twin, same guy that does the floorboards, and he has this kit that's going to make these Baja Designs S2 lights fit underneath the floorboard. So if you buy the floorboards from him, you can select that. I think he's going to do a combo package with these lights, or you have to let him know that you want to run these lights later down the road. And what he'll do is he'll mill out these brackets that he already has made. So since I already had the brackets from my previous video, the prototype ones, so I just threw them back on my boards, mailed these down to him. He milled them out a little bit, and what that allows you to do is it allows this bracket to sit nice and flush down in there. I also still have my stock boards, so we're going to see if these work with the stock boards, which I believe they will, but why do stock boards when you can have these nice ones? So this kit has a combination lens. It has a beam and then a flood pattern. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have the flood pattern be on the outside and the straight beam on the inside and see how that works. In theory, it should light up the edge of the road a little bit better. You can also use yellow lenses. You can buy these extra, or you can get them with yellow lenses already installed. Or if you want to swap back and forth, these are cheap to add on. It comes with a complete wiring harness. It's all in one, with your relays and your connectors and everything else, and then your switch. My plan with the switch is to try put it here. So this is where the factory fog light switch would go if you had the Pathfinder lights for your Indian. And then the lights are going to mount right under here. And so what I'm going to do is I'll try and route the wiring up in here and kind of go along with my clutch cable. And then we are going to have to take this off to get to the back side of this, because even if you pull this out, yeah, you can kind of see in there. So we got to get to the back side with that. But there's already tons of videos on how to remove this, so I'm going to get working on removing this. Remove my battery cover and putting the brackets back on here. Alright, so I have the original brackets back on with the milled recess. You can see right there, it's nice and flush. So what you have to do is, obviously, because the light's going to go in here and you won't get that pulled on, so you have to install this bracket on, install your floorboard on your bike, and then you can take the light, mount it on there with these washers and these two screws. Alright, so there we have it. Those locking washers actually go in the end board. They don't go under at the head of this. So when it's tight, everything's nice and tight. I have this one aimed pretty much straight out, so we'll see how that works. When I go out and test it at night, I'll just bring my tool and I can adjust them as I need to. We'll see how these do with lean angle, obviously, but that's pretty much where it has to go. So yeah, so we'll get the other side mounted up and then start wiring. All right, so both sides are on. Same size, same procedure as the other side. And two, if you look at it, with the way that these board mounts are from Indian, you'll notice it moves the light just ever so slightly out this way. So it should give you a nice beam pattern, more of a broad pattern. Looks pretty snazzy. Normal person walking up to the bike probably wouldn't even notice it, especially when it's sitting on a stand. Not too bad. So naturally I was in a rush and I forgot to see if these would work with the stock boards. So here are the stock boards. It's actually a little bit cleaner, because with stock boards you can't even see it hanging down here. So as you can see, same deal. Light fits right up in there. No different. So this is the stock bolt for the stock boards. If you buy this kit, he will throw in one of his longer bolts, and I think he's going to do a spacer up here to get this to sit. But yeah, as you can see, it works just fine the stock boards. And if it works with these, chances are it's going to work with any of your other aftermarket boards. But why do that when you can get these nice light ones? Now I'm going to throw this back on, throw that back on, then we're going to start the wiring. Alright, so naturally the easiest solution isn't going to work. So obviously that hole is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be, which is a lot bigger than the switch. So what we had to do was drill out that plug. So I have this step bit here. It's the easiest thing to do. You can buy these at Harbor Freight. They're super cheap, or you can order them on Amazon. Either way, it's a good thing to have in your toolbox. But step bit basically all the way to the top. And I got this rounded out just perfect, and then I just had to snip away some little pieces inside there. But it's about 0.8 inches in diameter that you need. So just haul that out, and then this slides right in there. So you want it to be a little tight so it snaps in. So snap that in, and then that's all you gotta do for your power switch. Alright, good news. So I don't think I have to remove this. So with this cubby out, you can take the wire there, run through, and then you'll see a hole down there. Obviously, not right there, just like factory. But that hole comes out to here, and your clutch cable's right here. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna zip tie it up high and tight. Well, you'll never see it. Zip tie it to this clutch cable coming down here on the inboard side of it, and then run it behind the radiator shroud, and then shoot it over, and then we'll stick all of our relays and stuff over there above the fuse panel. All right, I've tried to show you guys how I'm working through the wiring. So I ended up actually pulling the harness for the switch all the way back up through, and then there's the plug for it, which goes back to this relay harness. Mainly because it's going to be easier to hide all this wire up in here than it is down there. Also, took the fan shroud off. It's just two little push pins, one there and one down here. That frees up a lot of room in here. So what I'm going to do is I have this wire ran through here, going to run it through there, and then it's a little hard to see, but I'm plugging them in there. So that plug right there is ran up through here, and then that's going to be on this side right there. So what I'm going to do is zip tie it as far forward as I can away from the header, and that should be good. And then I can take, this is the other side, the left hand side, so I'm going to take all that and then zip tie it all back up in here with that shroud off, and then I'm going to zip tie this whole mess and pack it in here pretty tight. As you can see, there's plenty of room down there, and there's plenty of room down and below here. And then I'll be able to hook my battery terminals up. Luckily, with this battery, I can do multiple terminals, so I'll do the bike's hot will go here, and then the light hot will go over here. That will just make it easier to install and move. And then both negatives will go right here. But not too bad. All right, wiring's done. Well, it's all hooked up. So I zip tied this wire right here, ran it there along the clutch cable, and it sits back in here and zip tied back in there. Over here on this side, same thing, zip tied it through here on the foot bracket, and then up in here, and then it's zip tied to a connector up here. So there's still plenty of room between the header and that wire, so there's no way that's going to touch. And then coming over here, I ran my ground on there, then my extra spare bolt. Obviously, if you don't have this kind of battery, you would just hook it up to the positive up here. So then the fuse is going to kind of sit here when that battery bracket goes on here, and then all this gets buried in there. But these suckers are bright. So I can't wait till tonight to see how it lights up the road. All right. And two, obviously you have a little red light on here. I might tint this a little bit, see how, depending on how bright it is at night. Yeah, not too bad so far. Alright, it's pretty buttoned up from the outside. You'd never notice that this wire is coming down through here. So it comes through here and routes over here. And what I did was I removed these cables again here, and then push the fuse back here. So there's a little spot back there that I can sit and hide. Then over here, what I did was the relay had this metal piece on it, so I took this off the relay so it wouldn't chafe on anything in there, and then bundled this up, and I work on this a little bit more, but push all this excess wire in there. Obviously don't put it in front of your regulator here. And then that's all buttoned up, and then we'll finish buttoning up the top. All right, we're all done. So when you shove all the wires in here, if you decide to do it that way, you have to get them all the way back in the cubby for this thing to fit back in. Everything works perfectly fine. Shroud's back on. Double checked all my wires, make sure everything's clear. Battery cover and radiator cover are back on. Like I said, everything's kind of just shoved in here. Nothing's hanging down here, and the wires are really poking up there, so everything's nice and flush. Lights over here, and all the connectors are good. So obviously, stay light out, so I can't test them out. Tonight, hopefully, if the rain holds off, I'll be able to get outside, and I'll give you a review of what just those lights look like, and then the lights plus the pathfinder, then high beams and everything, and we'll try and work out the pattern. These lenses, if for some reason you don't want the flood lens to be over here and you want to change it up a little bit, you just unbolt these 4 bolts, it pops off, and the lens can rotate. So the actual LEDs in here are the same on both sides, it's just the lens that's a little bit different. But overall, if you didn't know you were looking for them, you wouldn't see them. Do have a little bit of a concern about scraping, so we're going to see how that works, and go from there. If it does scrape, he is making a set of mounts that'll mount on your factory crash bars or these bars, and so if that happens, I can just take these and we'll put them right here or up here. But for now, this is a nice clean look that we're experimenting with. It'll be nice and low to the ground for good visibility. Now let's see how bright they are. Alright, so they do hit. I'm going to try and show you how far it leans before it does actually touch. So the back bar hits, and then they hit. So yeah, for the aggressive riders, this might not be the kit for you, but we'll see. So if we get some nice marks right there, we'll find out. But obviously, yeah, so depending on how the suspension compresses and everything, those bars are gonna hit, which I still have to trim these up from my drag and trip. I know I keep saying, I just keep forgetting. But these will hit before this scrapes. All right, so it's pretty dark out here, obviously. So we're just gonna turn on the new lights. So that is just these lights with the flood pattern. So as you can see, flood pattern shoots out, nice. So that's only the flood, only the lights. So we'll start it up. That's the pathfinder light, and that's the high beam. So we'll turn these off. That's what you get with the pathfinder light on high beam. Low beam, high beam. And we'll turn these auxiliary lights on. Freaking crazy. So we'll get off and walk around a little bit. I'm pretty astonished as to how much light these things throw off. But again, that is just these lights. Everything else is turned off. Now, once we get back in the garage, I'll talk about some other mods that I think I'm going to do to these guys. Alright, after thinking about it all night, I wanted to try something new. So obviously, if you just want a complete bolt-on with your factory boards or anything else, this works, it's fine. However, if you have the C3 boards, what you can do is modify them. So luckily, I still had these old brackets from the prototype set. So what I did was I drilled and tapped a hole here, and so I off-centered it just a little bit. So I can't use this bolt hole, but I can still use this one and these three here. So that's the only downside of doing this. So the upside of doing this is, actually this is for the other side. The upside of doing this is going to get mounted up here. So you're going to move it up about another inch or two. And then it 100% won't drag. So let's put these on. So because of where they moved, I had to dig back in the wiring harness a little bit and get me some more slack. But as you can see, they are much higher. And these are not going to hit. And their location there. What I did was, since this bolt thread length isn't that great, I did put a locking washer on it as well as some Loctite. And then I've rotated the bracket the other way so it's sitting even higher. So the light sits on it, sits nice and high like that. If you wanted to, you could even almost do it like that. But I kind of prefer to sit about like that. Alright, we're done. Everything's back together. These guys are nice, high and tight, obviously. It won't affect your foot. And this will hit before this hits, which I doubt I'll ever hit this. So I think we're good there. Just another reason to buy these boards, so you mount your lights nice and high. If you have the normal crash bars, these might interfere with it. But like I said, he's going to make a mount for other crash bars. So I'm super happy with it. Now that I have these, there's a good chance I'm going to sell this Pathfinder and do the Forever Red LP6 kit, because these alone are brighter than that headlight, which, as you saw in the video last night, which is a little hard to see light at night on a GoPro, but I assure you those things are crazy bright for how small they are. That'll do it for this video. If you have any questions, you know the usual deal. DM me or comment on YouTube, or just DM me on my Instagram. See you guys.